Welcome to the Power of Owning Your Career podcast. I'm your host, Simone Morris, and I have a passion for empowering others to take responsibility for their careers. Yes, I've written several books on owning your career and am loving hosting this podcast. This podcast is for you if you're willing to make a shift to the driver's seat in your career. We feature leaders who inspire, empower, and motivate you for consistent career action for results. Please continue to join us every Sunday when a new episode is released. Let's get into this week's show. Hello, everyone. It's Simone Morris, host of the Power of Owning Your Career podcast. It's been a while, and I'm delighted to check in with you and hear how you are progressing in your career. It is my hope that you are gaining lots of knowledge from the Power of Owning Your Career podcast. We've got quite a few episodes, and so, you can binge listen to, I shouldn't use the word binge, but you can really listen to an episode a week for 2 years, because we've got over 104 episodes. So if you took an episode a week and just applied the principles, I am positive your career would be at a different place. If you did it for a year, by now and the next year, you would be at a different place in your career. And I'm in the shower and I will turn on the Power of Owning Your Career podcast and just get re-inspired by the guests that we have on the show. They inspire me so much to do great things and to really keep the focus on how I want to be in the driver's seat for my career. Because sometimes I'll tell you, to be honest, you can get tripped up and find yourself out of the driver's seat. But I think with the skills and awareness you pick up from the show, you can spot it quicker that you are back in passenger mode. And you can take action on how do I want to move from the passenger seat. And sometimes, I've had guests tell me, sometimes you do need to hang out in the passenger seat. Sometimes that's important to do. So real talk, I find myself in situations where I'm like, how did this happen? I am not in the driver's seat here and I want to be. And then I make a plan for how do I move back to the driver's seat? How do I move to a place of empowerment? So I've been doing this back and forth over my career, and I love doing the show because it's a great reminder and it's a connection. I love, my favorite part of producing this show is the interviews. People have some really interesting career stories, and I get a joy from them. And I really enjoyed the season opener with the UCLA coach, Charmin Smith. She inspired me so much. And I was watching TV over the weekend and I saw Pac-12 and I thought of her, and I never would have thought about Pac-12 before. But I thought of her in our interview, and so I started listening to the interview over the weekend again. I hope you listen to that interview because it is truly inspiring. Another interview you can listen to is Bhavna Bartolf. And I told one of my coaching clients about her because she just was so inspiring and giving and thoughtful in our interview. She's got a TED Talk out, so look for that. Connect with us in the LinkedIn Power of Owning Your Career podcast group, because I really want to hear from you and I really want to get the conversations going on what's helping you on the podcast and what else can we provide to you? Or if there's someone you'd like me to interview on the podcast, you can give that information to me as well through the LinkedIn group, or you can even email me. But it has been wonderful. I want to let you know one of the things that I have been working on career-wise is a book, a new book for 52 tips for owning your career. I have learned so much over the last 2 years. As we know, we're coming out of a pandemic, and it has been a impactful 2 years from a career standpoint. A lot of people had to pivot. They had to learn how to work virtually. You know, things that they thought were happening did not happen. And so they had to, again, pivot. I had to do a lot of pivots as an entrepreneur. And you really had to be resilient in your career. You had to stand strong because things were changing based on business changing, not just as an entrepreneur, but in the corporate space, many businesses were changing. With the work that I do on a full-time basis, not only am I a career coach, but I also do diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging consulting. And there's a lot of focus on that in the last 2 years. Not that there wasn't before, but I mean, like, a lot more focus. People were doubling down. And so as a result, your career, you had to be mindful of that, and your career changed because you have to care about that in your career, because there is an impact to the changing workplace. So I say all that to say I'm working on the 52 Tips book. You may have seen a cover reveal on social media. If you follow me on social media, I had a little contest out there where you could give me your input on the book cover. And I'm delighted. I got the final cover of the book today. And I you know what? I think I'm going to put it in the LinkedIn group just as a sneak peek for the listeners of the podcast. So head over to the LinkedIn group for the podcast, and I'm going to put that in there. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a pre-order page for the book. I hope that you'll support me. This podcast has been a passion of mine for so long. I've been doing it for about 3 years now. And I would love your support. One of the things I want to do is I want to do a book tour. So I want to go around. I'd love to go around the country. If you'd like me to come somewhere, please tell me. But I'd love to go around the country with your support, of course. I don't want to be just talking to myself about careers, but I have a passion for empowering people. I have a passion for empowering women to take the driver's seat in their career. And so I want to share that message. It gives me great joy to have conversations about owning your career. So I hope you'll support me on that. Drop your ideas in the LinkedIn group or send me an email as well. We'll put it in the show notes here in this episode from me. But the book is coming out, and like I said, I'd love to do a book tour and come around and have conversations and even record some podcast interviews live. That would be a lot of fun. So I hope you will support me in doing that as one of my goals as I head into 2023. By the way, you should be thinking about closing out the year strong. What is it that you want in your career? Do not coast into 2023. We have still got 3 solid months to make magic happen. So whatever it is in your career that you're wanting, that you're not clear on, take a pause and think about your career. What do I want for myself in my career? What I did was I took out a notepad and I wrote down each month, October, November, and December. And I thought about in my career, what do I want to do? So like some of the big things that I want to do in my career is release this new book. So in October, a new book will come out. I also want to write a children's book. I've done one, a collaboration with the fabulous Julie Kratz for our Inclusion School podcast. That's the Finding Charlotte. Finding a BFF book. And I want to do a book in honor of my mother. I want to do a book about Alzheimer's, a children's book on that. So that's one of the things is on my radar. And I want to do more traveling, and I want to do more balance. So I'm just sharing some of the things at a high level that I want to do, that Simone wants to do. I would love to do an in-person Power of Owning Your Career workshop again. Those gave me so much joy. We used to come together. We used to do headshots on site. I used to have speakers there. People would work on their career plans, and we would have good community and connection, and I loved it. Want to do that again. So what's the point of me sharing what Simone wants to do? It's to inspire you to pause, to think about, what do you want for yourself between now and the end of the year, and then to make a plan of how you're going to achieve those goals. The other thing is, I'm already thinking about 2023 and what I want to achieve in 2023. So I want you to be thinking about that as well. I will be doing a workshop in November. In November, I'll be doing a workshop. It's called My Life, My Way Retreat. And it's really on planning your 2023. What do you want the year to look like? What is your vision? What needs to happen? What support do you need? And I love to do that. And it's going to be on a Friday. I want to say November 12th. I've got to double check that. Just 1 second here. My apologies. It is November 18th, Friday, November 18th from 12:30 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm hoping that you will all sign up for that and join me there, and we can talk about careers together and plan for the coming year. Anyway, I'm excited about all these exciting things that are happening. And I want to thank you for being a loyal listener to the podcast. It has really been life-changing for many. I thank you for the emails that you send me, telling me how the show impacts you. I hope that you'll continue to listen. We have some amazing guests for the rest of this season, season 9. So season 9 will continue until about mid-December, and then we'll go on hiatus and come back in the new year. But again, you've got over 2 years worth of content that it never gets stale. You can listen to it and apply it to your career. And if that, and you know, I say that if you need help planning your career, please reach out to me. I can help you in that process. I do work with coaching clients, and you can always have a free call with me at careerbreakthroughcall.com. That's one way to connect with me and to have a conversation about what's happening in your personal situation, how I may be able to help you as a coach level up and to have greater happiness and to achieve your career goals. So I hope you will take advantage of the many opportunities to be working on your career, to be in the driver's seat for your career. Thank you so much for listening to me, checking in with a Real Talk episode. There will be new episodes coming out shortly, so continue to listen to the podcast. Again, thank you so much for being a loyal listener. I appreciate you. If you enjoyed the conversation, please do share with a friend, not just this episode, but also our other episodes, and subscribe so that you can be notified on Sundays when new episodes drop in the podcast. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, everybody. Thank you so much.
I sincerely hope that you enjoyed this week's empowering career story on the podcast. If you did, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Wherever you listen to the podcast, be sure that you are subscribing and that you rate and review the podcast. It's so important as we continue to spread the word of career empowerment. In addition, you can head over to the LinkedIn platform and join the Power of Owning Your Career discussion group. There you can have access to the guests who have been on the podcast, as well as others listening to the podcast, as well as myself, where we can continue the conversation. I hope to see you on that platform. You can also email me at pooyc@simonemorris.com if you have a suggestion for guest or a message that you want me to hear personally. Thanks so much, and make it an inspiring, empowering week in your career.